It will put an end to the 2-year conflict that claimed tens of thousands of lives. Fox's Trey Yingst is in the Middle East, and he takes a look at what to expect.
I've been covering the Middle East for the past 7 years. This is the most historic moment over the past decade, even more. What President Trump has been able to do here is create a deal out of nothing. There was no progress for 2 years. These peace talks dragged on and on. The conversations were stalled, and Israelis here were waiting for their loved ones to come home. President Trump sent his Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to the Middle East, and I'm told by senior U.S. officials that the president himself got on the phone with these interlocutors to make sure that this deal got across the finish line. Anticipation is high in these final hours. The hostages are expected to be picked up by the Red Cross inside Gaza and then transferred to Israeli forces. Then they'll be reunited with family members and flown by helicopter to local hospitals for medical treatment. The hostages are set to be exchanged for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. What does this moment mean to you?
It's the moment of my life, a blessing in my life. And I couldn't be more thrilled to work for the greatest president out there, Donald J. Trump. He brought him home.
And then negotiators will look toward phase 2, trying to stabilize this agreement and then look to a broader level and the possibility that more normalization deals could be reached with Israel and its Arab neighbors. The president has been very clear here. He wants this agreement that is going to bring the hostages home to lead to a stabilized Middle East where there is peace and prosperity for all. Inside the Gaza Strip, Palestinians continue to return to their homes in areas formerly controlled by the IDF. New images show the scale of destruction within the enclave.
We fled our home under artillery fire, leaving everything behind. The house was destroyed with all our belongings inside. We have nothing left. No clothes, no bedding, not even money to go anywhere. Here I am, pushing the cart with my own hands, just trying to move forward.
Tomorrow, President Trump will arrive here in Israel. He'll address the Israeli Knesset before flying to Egypt to finalize his peace plan.
And that was Trey Yingst reporting. President Trump is expected to land around 9:20 a.m. local time to meet with families of the hostages. That's in about 4 hours. We will continue to follow this developing story both on air and online and bring you the very latest. Well, back here at home, it was a chilly and rainy Sunday. Still comfortable temperatures overall, though, for this time of year. Chief Meteorologist Ian Leonard is tracking how this week is going to pan out for us. And that rain did make it feel like fall today.
Yeah. Did you notice, have you noticed, and we talked about this last week, how there hasn't been a big change in colors of leaves on the trees, and plenty of leaves have fallen without changing color because it was so hot. Now that we've tapped in some cooler air, should start to pop some more beautiful colors. Right now it's 66. Believe it or not, we topped out at 68, which is 8 degrees above average, even with the rounds of rain and the wind-whipped gray Sunday afternoon. The spotty showers taper as we head through the next couple of hours, and then it becomes a bit of a seesaw forecast this week. Brilliant and sunny the next few days, but as we work into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, temperatures are up and a little rain may come down. I think any way you look at it, though, as long as we can stay away from anything that belongs with a W-I-N-T-E-R, then I think we're doing pretty good. We'll talk about this week. I really think you're going to like this week's forecast, and in particular, the brilliant sunshine tomorrow. We'll see you here in about 10 minutes.
Looking forward to that. Thank you, Ian. Rain chances are giving firefighters in northern Minnesota some hope so that they continue to fight the Crosby fire. Investigators say it broke out near George H. Crosby Manitou State Park last Wednesday following a lightning strike. It has since burned about 300 acres. Today, crews work to build a solid containment line, and as of news time tonight, it is 50% contained. Developing tonight, an apartment house explosion in Hibbing that investigators are looking into. Pictures shared with Fox 9 by the Northland Firewire show the aftermath there. The Firewire says that the house on 9th Avenue East near Hibbing High School was engulfed when crews arrived there. We're still waiting to learn about the possible injuries or if there are any potential fatalities in this that were caused by that explosion. Well, in a major move in downtown St. Paul's core, the Alliance Bank Center has some new ownership. The St. Paul Downtown Development Corporation acquired the vacant building from Madison Equities. And our So Young Kim joining us in our newsroom now with more on on what this could mean for the future of St. Paul. It has really been struggling in that business district. So Young.
Kelsey, that's right. And the mayor and new ownership both say the transformation of this building is closely tied to the future success of downtown St. Paul. Alliance Bank Center in downtown St. Paul is now fully under new ownership. The St. Paul Downtown Development Corporation has full control after acquiring the vacant building from Madison Equities and will take over property management and security from the city of St. Paul. SPDDC is a nonprofit subsidiary of the St. Paul Downtown Alliance, and the organization purchased the property's banknote earlier this year. In a statement, SPDDC's president Dave Higgins says, in part, quote, "The SPDDC will thoroughly assess a variety of potential redevelopment alternatives for the property, informed in part by an upcoming community engagement process." Fox 9 recently hosted a roundtable discussion about the future of downtown St. Paul. Stakeholders from multiple sectors said the vacancies left behind by Madison Equities cannot be ignored when discussing the area's challenges.
As we've seen kind of the Madison Equities portfolio collapse, and as we've seen some of those things happen, we've seen property values dip downtown.
And said transforming downtown St. Paul into a vibrant place to live, work, play, and stay would be key to future success.
One of the things that's been said is key is we have to have that mix of users, but we have to have them throughout the downtown.
So in a statement about the Alliance Bank Center building fully changing hands, Mayor Melvin Carter says, in part, quote, "This ownership transition is the next key step in driving investment, revitalization, and growth of our tax base in the core of downtown." And SPDDC says redevelopment evaluation will take place over the next 12 months. Live in the newsroom tonight, So Young Kim, Fox 9.
All right, thank you, So Young. Well, this weekend in Chicago, a judge ruled that National Guard troops can stay under the administration's control, but they are barred from operations while a legal fight proceeds. This all playing out during a busy weekend in the city with 50,000 runners for the Chicago Marathon. Earlier today, I talked with broadcaster Carrie Tollefson about the tension in the city leading up to this big event. All right, Carrie Tollefson, Olympian from Minnesota, calling the race today for the Chicago Marathon. So good to talk with you after this race is now over. And there's been a lot going on in Chicago, Carrie. The tension between the administration and state government there over whether or not National Guard troops would be deployed. So what was the mood in Chicago going into this race?
You know, I mean, us runners are always so excited about life, right? So the mood was definitely taking precaution, but also not letting anything ruin this day. You know, so many athletes, they train 16 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever their training plan is. And when we got here, the behind the scenes, they were working really hard to make sure that everyone was safe and that everyone was going to have a good day. But for me, you know, my job was just to bring the energy and to make sure that we were having a fun time. So they really kind of protected us that way. They maybe shielded us a little bit more than we should have been, just to make sure that we go into this broadcast and bring the hype. And I am not a newscaster. I don't have to give hard hitting news. So obviously when we know that if something were to happen, they would take, you know, the coverage from being race coverage to the news coverage, and that would be out of my hands. So I felt safe. We felt like it was normal day to day here at the Chicago Marathon, and it was awesome. We had a great day.
And then it was a big day for Americans. A new American record for the men with Connor Mance, and then our very own Minnesotan, Dakota Popane, finishing second among American women. So that was exciting to see too.
Yeah, ladies first. Let's talk about Dakota. Dakota has had such a phenomenal year, making that Olympic team and then placing as the first American in Paris last summer. She was 11th there. And then coming here and saying she wanted to run one of the fastest times that have ever been run by an American. She wanted to run 2:20 or even faster. And she didn't quite get that today, but she finished second overall for the Americans. I think she was 7th overall in the race. And she ran a new PR, new personal record. So she ran 2:24 today. And you know what I love about Dakota is she went for it. Not everyone does that in life, and she does that in life. So bravo to her. And then, yes, new American record by Connor Mance. It's been 23 years since Khalid Kanuchi set the American record right here in Chicago. And Connor Mance is such a superstar, and he's just been grinding his way, setting the American record in the half marathon this year, the 20K, and now the marathon. So a big day for the Americans for sure.
Yeah. Oh, so exciting to watch. All right. Well, thanks, Carrie, for spending a little bit of time with us to explain, what it's been like in Chicago over this busy weekend.
Yeah, and let's go for a run real soon, Kelsey.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, right now, Vice President J.D. Vance is warning of deeper cuts to the federal workforce if the government shutdown continues. Already hundreds of thousands of workers have been furloughed. This as Democrats demand a spending plan extend federal subsidies for health insurance. The expiration would result in an increase in cost for millions of people. Republicans say that they are open to negotiations on the subsidies, but insist the government must reopen first. Still ahead tonight, a state competition for high school marching bands at U.S. Bank Stadium. A look at some of the highlights when we come back. Also, thousands of sandhill cranes are set to migrate this fall. A look at their journey. A little bit of zen here tonight, just getting started.